All right, everybody, welcome back to another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to be looking at something that I think a lot of people are really interested in, and that is fluency,
Yeah.
spoken English fluency. How to get that really smooth, natural flow that native speakers have.
It's the holy grail, isn't it?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. And, sometimes it feels kind of unattainable.
Right.
But, we have a really interesting source today that we're going to be looking at to kind of dig into this and maybe give us some tips.
Yeah, absolutely.
The source is an episode from English Unlocked, Mastering Fluency,
Yeah.
and it's called Speak English, Fast Master English Fluency, like a pro. So
It sounds promising.
I know, right? Like, who doesn't want to speak English fast and fluently like a pro?
Exactly.
So I'm really curious about this. What were some of the big takeaways that you had from listening to this episode?
Yeah, well, the thing that really stood out to me, I think, was that it wasn't just about talking fast.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, I think, when they're thinking about fluency, they think, I just need to speed up. But actually, the episode really focused on being natural.
Okay.
So it's not about being like super, super fast. It's about making your speech flow naturally.
Okay, so it's more about the rhythm and the flow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it went into some really cool techniques like using contractions more and also this thing called connected speech.
Oh, connected speech.
Yeah, have you heard about this before?
I've heard of it, but I think it would be really helpful if you could kind of break it down for our listeners. Like, what exactly is connected speech?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, connected speech is about understanding how sounds in English link together
Okay.
because we don't actually pronounce every word separately.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so like if you think about the phrase, can I have
Yeah.
a native speaker, it probably wouldn't say those words separately.
Right.
It would be more like, can I have a?
Oh, wow.
You know?
That's really interesting.
The sounds kind of blur together, and that's
Yeah.
what makes it sound more natural and less robotic.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think that's something that I've noticed, like when I hear native speakers talking,
Yeah.
it does sound like the words are kind of blending together.
Yeah, and that's a big part of fluency.
Hmm.
It's not just about grammar and vocabulary, it's about how you actually deliver the words.
Right, right, absolutely. Now, the episode also mentioned something called common native speaker phrases and shortcuts.
Yes.
And, I can see how those would be helpful, but I'm also kind of wondering, like, if you overuse those, wouldn't it start to sound a little unnatural?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point.
Yeah.
It's all about using them organically.
Okay.
Like native speakers do.
Right.
Don't force them into every sentence.
Yeah.
It's more about thinking of them as conversational shortcuts.
So, like, instead of saying, how are you doing today, you could just say, what's up?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Or instead of saying going to, you could say gonna.
Right.
Little things like that.
Yeah, it's like those little tweaks that really can make a big difference.
Yeah.
In
Exactly.
terms of sounding more fluent. Exactly.
So it's about finding that sweet spot.
Yeah,
Right. Not overusing them, but incorporating them strategically.
absolutely.
Okay, cool. So I'm all for shortcuts,
Yeah.
but like any skill fluency takes practice, right?
Right.
What kind of exercises should our listeners be doing if they want to really nail these techniques?
Well, there are some really effective exercises highlighted in the episode.
Okay.
One that stood out to me was shadowing.
Shadowing. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I have, but why don't you explain it for our listeners?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So shadowing is where you listen to a native speaker and try to mimic their pronunciation and rhythm.
Oh, okay.
So you can start with short audio clips and then, work your way up to longer segments, even like entire conversations.
So you're basically like a shadow.
Yeah,
You're trying to copy exactly what they're doing.
exactly. And it's not just about the word, it's about the intonation, the rhythm.
Wow, so you're really getting into like the nuances
Yeah.
of how a native speaker talks.
Exactly.
That's cool. Yeah, and another one that they mentioned was focusing on specific sounds
Okay.
that might be challenging for you.
Like what kind of sounds were we talking
Well,
about?
for example, the difference between L and R
Oh, yeah, that's a classic one.
can be tricky for some learners.
Yeah,
So just practicing those sounds specifically can really help.
that makes a lot of sense. And I think that's something that a lot of people listening probably can relate to.
Yeah,
Like there's certain sounds that are just harder to get right.
exactly. And it just takes practice.
Yeah, and the key is to actively listen
Yeah,
to how native speakers are using the language.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great point about the L and R sounds.
Yeah,
I know that's one that I struggled with when I was first learning English.
yeah.
And that shadowing technique sounds super helpful
Yeah.
for getting that rhythm down.
Yeah, definitely.
This has been such an insightful deep dive.
It really has.
So to sum it up, for that effortless native-like fluency that we're all striving for.
Yeah.
We learned about contractions,
Right.
magic of connected speech,
Uh-huh.
and those handy native speaker shortcuts.
Yeah. Those are really useful.
Yeah, and of course the importance of targeted practice, like
Yeah.
shadowing.
Absolutely.
Now here's a final thought to chew on.
Okay.
How might understanding the cultural context behind these phrases and shortcuts further enhance fluency
Ooh, that's a good one.
and create a stronger connection with native speakers?
Yeah. That's something to think about.
It is. It's something to ponder as you continue on your English learning journey.
Absolutely.
Until next time.
See